They went to Thailand because they had both been there before and absolutely loved it.
And obviously the big story still floating around, getting a lot of international coverage as well. It's the story about the two Kiwis, the two New Zealand brothers.
I'd been out all Sunday afternoon and it was around 10 o'clock and I was...
It's the Kiwi boys are never meaning no harm. Choking out cops, taking away his gun. I mean, what could have went wrong? All right, so the first thing, let's look at it like this. You have a very short video clip of what could we ascertain? And once again, this is for entertainment purposes only. And we're just basically looking at a video, all right? So now you see these two brothers who are strapping type of lads. You see a pickup truck. Now, sometimes you might think this is a vehicle stop, but if you notice one of the brothers wearing a helmet. Now, were they riding motorbikes independently? Was one on the back of the other? I really don't know. But let's talk about exactly what we see. So now, you would have to assume if it's a traffic stop and their credentials or documents were not in question, or they were in question, excuse me, is that all of a sudden, the traffic cop looks at it and he says, you're an unlicensed operator, the documents are no good, so on and so forth. So now where the rub happens is, how do we go from a traffic stop to a weapon coming out and allegedly discharging twice? Like, what could have prompted this situation? So let's talk about it. Another alleged thing that happened is that I don't know 100% on protocols and procedure regarding the Thai police, but I'm assuming the cop works off a phone where he can, you know, aggregate data, take pictures of the event. I don't know if they upload them. I don't know 100% on how these things work. But one of the accusations is that the phone was taken and they started to delete things that the officer, you know, aggregated during the stop. So now, if that is true, because remember, there's metadata, there's locations, there's a digital footprint on this cop's phone. If they deleted anything off the phone, they're moving in a direction legally that you're kind of dead to rights, because what's the argument there why you would be going to basically taking a law enforcement official's phone and deleting things? Obviously, you're trying to cover something up, right? So that's the easy part of the conversation. But now we see the fact that there's a wrestling match, and allegedly one of the brothers, he had an MMA background, and you could see that he basically has the ability to restrain the cop. And he seems like a pretty heavy guy, he knows what he's doing. But how did we get to the point that, all right, so now the officer says A, B, and C, you're in violation. So now it's a roadside interview that happened. So how did it, like, what prompted the brothers to say, you know what, we need to basically take this cop down, take his gun, and delete his phone? Like, if you're visiting, because that's the backstory, they love Thailand, they were visiting, and then all of a sudden, they go into this mode of, it's a traffic stop, and they basically assault a police officer. But my question is this: was the gun out already, for whatever reason, or was the gun stripped off the cop? Now, you got to understand something. A Glock 19, which I think they have out here, or a 17, usually has a triple retention holster, which means it's a thumb index. You either release a hood, sometimes it doesn't have the hood, you thumb index, and then the weapon, you have to get a purchase on a weapon, and then once again rock forward or backwards, and then the weapon comes out. Okay, long story short. So now, if it was holstered in the heat of the moment, one of the brothers would have to know how to basically work the mechanism of the holster and then pry the weapon out. Or what happened is that during the wrestling match, the cop felt in fear for his life. He started to deploy his own weapon. That's when the wrestling match occurred. That's when the alleged rounds were discharged, etc. So that's an interesting piece of the story. Then also the allegations are that they're going to try to hit these brothers with conspiracy to assault a police officer, which, I mean, I don't know how they would prove that, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what other footage is out there, and we're going off a very small tidbit of footage. But then I also asked this question. If these two brothers are maniacs, right, and they're not law-abiding citizens, why not just choke the cop out? I mean, the guy had, you know, he basically cinched around his neck. He had one connection. We had to get technical. And he's holding the guy there. And one brother gives the handgun to the other brother who, due to his weapons manipulation skills, obviously he's not a former member of the New Zealand Air Regiment. All right, but that's besides the point. So they unload the weapon because they figured the weapon to them was some type of threat at this point, right? So my question is there more footage? What actually happened on that day? But from the footage, let's look at it. Let's look at both sides of the equation once again. The cop's running a traffic stop. He says, you know what? Or he's had a checkpoint set up. And he's like, all right, I'm randomly pulling these guys over. They don't provide creds. He might have asked why. And then it looked like it went from 0 to 100. They said that maybe the cop was like, listen, I'm arresting you two guys. I don't really know. And then either way you slice this one, I know the family put out a piece, it's 5 days ago, and there's a little bit of, I put some of that in the intro. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's, if there's no body camera on the cop, and sometimes those could give you a narrow perspective of an event, it doesn't look too good for these Kiwi brothers. Because at the same time, let's just say, but no matter how you kind of swing this, unless they have footage of the cop drawing a firearm on these guys for no reason, and then that's where the disarm occurred, like I said, it's going to be very, very tricky regarding these Kiwi brothers, no matter what, because what it is that you have to look at it from a governmental standpoint or from the standpoint of the kingdom, where they have to set a precedent now. Because can you have your cops being assaulted and nothing to be done? This is Thailand. This isn't New York, where I come from, where you could probably beat up a cop and you're out in 3 hours getting your property. But once again, that's a conversation for another day. But out here in Thailand, which is a very big tourist hub, it was chronicled on video and went viral. So now that there's optics on this particular situation, the way I look at this is that the hammer is going to drop no matter what type of, you can have Johnny Cochran, may he rest in peace, litigating your case, trying to help you, but it doesn't look good for the Kiwi boys. So I don't really know. Hopefully you got something out of a little bit of the breakdown. But I also, just to end with this, why didn't they just pummel the cop? Like they held him, they disarmed him. Now what I want to know is, and maybe you could comment below, is that what happened after the fact? Did they wait for more police to show up? Did the police arrive, basically to a call of distress for the cops, or they went on the run and then they got picked up? So once again, not all the information is out. I'll probably have another update, but once again, there's about 3 weeks ago this occurred. Then there was a little bit of a follow-up. So that's why I kind of did this video, because every once in a while, if I feel that I could add to something that happens to the news or in the news here, I will. So once again, have a great day, and hopefully you got something out of the video, and we'll talk soon. All right.